Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Lionel. I'm your host for LT Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. We are covering Beyond the Gates. I don't know what week this is. I missed last week's. I do apologize. But I appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like this video in support of me, and you can subscribe and leave your comments below. Now let's get into these week's episodes. Okay, so Monday. I did miss last week, and really I did not watch. I knew some of the things that were going on last week. I know that Haley lost her baby, and kind of blaming Danny for it, or at least Danny's feeling the pressure. She feels bad, even though she tripped earlier in the week, and then when she got around Danny, all of a sudden she started bleeding. Now there's been a twist in Haley's story. She's in communication with Randy, which aka his name Sammy. We're like, well, that came out of the blue, and there's so much more to talk about this, and we will. But I think that was the highlight of last week, as far as I know. Yeah, so anyways, this is Danny and Andre. This is the morning time. Andre slept on the couch, and that was indication to Danny that, oh, you said that when you want to give indication of when you want to separate or kind of set up some boundaries, you will, and you did that by sleeping in the other room. Andre is ready to settle down, and they both know that it's not going to be with Danny. I have something to say. Danny wishes, and then they start talking about this Ashley person. Andre feels like the most stable person that he knows is Ashley, and he wants to give it a try. Danny doesn't feel like it's going to make it. I mean, if you go from Danny to Ashley, it's just like, what? I don't really get it. And not just because Ashley's white. I don't think that's the determining factor on if you could be with someone. I'm sure a lot of people just are not really with it because Ashley is white. I don't care about that. Danny wishes Andre and Ashley well, and he was like, "It's really shocked that she did that." She said, "Well, I don't really mean it. My parents taught me to have manners, but hopefully, what I think is going to happen does not come true." So this is my thing. All these months, Andre has wanted Danny to. What's the definition of our relationship? It's defined, and now you're ready to move on because you think Ashley is the stable person. Even though you knew what you were getting into when you got with Danny, you decided to nurse her heart back and blow her back out as many times as you needed. She faces her fears. She gets chewed out by her sister for not saying anything and all for y'all to just be in the friend zone now. That's weird to me. And I'm holding the writers responsible. We could say that Andre and Ish, but how? It's the writers that did this. I felt like the writers were taking me on a journey on these two. And what was supposed to be F-buddies and hookups was going to turn into something else as far as love and stuff. I was getting invested. Even though they kept bringing Ashley around, I was like, no, I think this is going to be the couple here. So to me, that is poor writing. It's inconsistent, and to just let us know, have more definition on what's going on, even if we don't know who Andre's going to choose. That was just too weird, that you focus too much on them, and then now it's just dropped in. No more Danny and Andre. That sucks. Back at Bill's home. Is this now or whatnot? Yeah, Haley and Sammy, they're talking. Randy. And you can tell that there is a deeper connection. Bill comes in, just wants to know what's going on. And Haley said, oh, this is the one that helped me when I was having my miscarriage. They just have some pleasantries, and he leaves. So at this point, I think Haley went upstairs and all that. Danny came over to face Bill and Haley and to apologize. She says that she takes full responsibility. And Bill was like, well, what are you talking about? Well, before Haley had her miscarriage, we were arguing. And Bill was like, well, that's a normal thing for you. I don't see how that was. And then he goes on to explain that Haley also tripped and fell. And I don't think that we'll ever know exactly what made the miscarriage happen. Bill then gets vulnerable and says that he felt like this was his chance to make up for the mistakes he made with his two daughters. He wasn't being around at the time, being this high-profile, trying to be this high-profile lawyer and all that. And he should have been around a lot more. And then he softly cries, and Danny comforts him. While she's doing that, here comes Haley walking in and all that. Of course, she stops. Danny does apologize sincerely to Haley, and Haley ended up saying that, where was it? Ooh. She said, you know, I'm too tired to read you for Phil. Well, the reason you're too tired is because you know that there was no baby up in there, man. And it's just like you can put on a performance, but I don't think that it was in you to put on the performance because you are quite intimidated by Danny. After Danny leaves, because I think Haley was like, look, another day where Danny isn't held to the fire, da, 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 da. So then Haley and Bill, they talk. She talks about, you know, I'm glad that you were able to get some things off your chest. I did admit to you that I am insecure in regards to Danny. And I know you need to get off your chest, but I just wish it wasn't with her. This is a woman that thinks that you can come into someone's home, take their husband, and now insecure that the people that did have the original connection are still connected to each other. That you came and broke up. I would love the background story. I want us to go back into time. Show us what happened since y'all fell in love. Haley also admits to Bill that she's not sure she can really go through this again as far as getting pregnant. Bill reassures her and says that this could still happen. And to also bet on our future, he's putting another $100K into the college account. Danny goes and sees Nicole. This is at the Dupree mansion. And she says, I feel pathetic and I know you guys are just tired of why y'all even love me. And Nicole was like, what's going on? She says that, you know, she went by Bill's to apologize and Bill ended up saying things, being vulnerable, and she realized right then and there that she still has feelings for Bill. And him opening up made her soft. It's just like, Lord. Well, I will just say this. I will say for Danny to not just be completely over in a week, I'm fine with it. Because you're human. You've been with this man for 20 plus years. And now you're just supposed to just pick up the pieces and go, and that's just that. I just think that it's a more realistic view and perception of how people do feel. And it does take a while to get over people. Yeah, I don't care how many people you lay up with. You can go have sex with 20 people now. That doesn't make you get over that person any better. Y'all can tell me what y'all think about that. Jan, this is Ashley's mom. Now I do know that last week Jan was on and she was just giving Ashley the business as to what were you thinking, breaking up with Derek and then hooking up with this man, Andre, that's not even a settled down committed person, I do know that part. Ashley informs Jan that she is no longer going to be going after Andre, and she's going to depend on herself and not a man. And that was some of the wisdom that Jan was giving her. She's like, I didn't raise you like this, After that, you know, she celebrates Ashley. In walks Andre. And he has a gift for her, which is photos from the photo shoot that he did for her with the background of Paris and all that good stuff. And he also says, you know, he broke up with the other girl and is ready to move on with her solely. She's not thrilled about that because she saw up front and personal that you were kissing Danny and stuff. Now, I don't think that Andre led her on or lied to her, as far as I remember, but y'all can let me know. But anyways, at this point, she don't want to be with him. Andre asks, so you want to stop before we even started? She has no answer. He walks away. But that is typical Ashley. She doesn't really go for it with people. She wants what's safe. And that's what you wanted, Andre, to be safe. But she's not willing to even take a risk on you. Nicole and Anita. It looks like they're on better terms. I know that 2 weeks ago she wasn't even going to go to the Articulates concert or whatever. She went, and it looks like the ice has all thawed out between them, and that's that on that. They talk a little bit about Anita forgiving herself and the things about the Articulates finally getting to a better place, and forgiving herself about Barbara, and Nicole to just say, wow, you really just went through that all alone, We find out that Anita started this fund for Barbara years ago, and I believe a large portion of the proceeds went to Barbara for the concert and all that good stuff. It's in some type of trust, waiting for someone to actually collect off of it. That's your hint on what's going on this week. All right, so Vernon was acting a little bit sneaky when Anita was asking him about what is he doing today, and she's like, he's telling me this, but I don't really feel it. Anyways, at the country club, Anita meets with Vernon, and then we find out that he's going to be meeting with Devon Hamilton. Devon Hamilton is played on Young and the Restless. So we're getting our first crossover, and I love it. Devon's been on, 15 years or so, I think. Early 2000s. I think like 2004 or 5, somewhere around there. Yeah. But that's Richie from Family Matters. Anyways, he's on there and he wants to pitch something to Anita about let's make a new record. Anita's not really into it. But before then, they do talk about Neil. I'm so glad that they talked about Neil Winters, the great Christophe St. John, and they just honor his name at that moment. Anyways, Anita's not into making a record. She said, look, why don't you talk with Sharon and Tracy and let them do a deal with them, and I can provide a feature here and there and all that good stuff. As well, why don't we just do an old Articulate song that never made it out there, but there are some demos out there with Barbara's voice, and we could remaster it and do all that good stuff. And Devon is liking it. Of course, his first choice is to get Anita back out and to record or whatever, but he takes it. So as Devon is leaving, in walks Danny. Danny and Devon have some type of rapport, so they know each other. They talk a little bit about Anita, and Danny says, when she says no, that's the end of it. She doesn't really change her mind. And then as Devon is walking away, we see Danny takes a look back like, okay, you got it going on. So hopefully Devon comes back. Hopefully, I'm calling her Chelsea. Danny can go back up there to Genoa City, or over there to Genoa City. That would be cool, something different. But Devon Hamilton, some people wanted Devon to be a relative of Bill's. Why? I mean, it would actually give them storyline, but nah. All right, we're going on to Tuesday. Bill and Haley. Haley wants to go to the doctor so they can really check her out after this miscarriage. They go and they find out from the doctor it's going to take about 3 months when they can start trying again for a baby. I'm not a woman. I didn't know it took that long, because isn't a woman still going to be going through her whole cycle during the month? I'm just saying. I don't know how that goes, But yeah, that's how it is. Does she say it here? Does she say it here? I know that Haley at some point does say, I think I'm going to try again. Not for you only, but for me too. I love soap operas. I think some of this stuff is just cheesy at this point. It's so much not 2025. I'm not putting the blame on Beyond the Gates. It's just some of the redundant type of cheesy stuff that I'm just like, oh. All right, at Leslie's home, Eva's there too. She gets this letter. It's about an inheritance. Eva's looking at her like, as she's trying to toss it out into the trash, she said, wait. This could be something important. Yeah, it's junk now. Anyways, so Leslie finally reads it, blah, 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 blah. Eva takes it to Thomas to just get his opinion on stuff. And he says that it could be a scam or it couldn't be a scam. The only way you're going to really find out is if you contact the number that's on this letter. So, and he also advised them not to give out any sensitive information. Eva goes back to the house and tells Leslie what to do. Leslie's not a believer into it. She ends up doing it anyways. And then they start asking for her date of birth and social security number. And then that's when all connections were lost and Leslie ended up hanging up the phone. Oh, it was legit. Sorry. That's actually tomorrow when Leslie hangs up the phone. But we'll find out what happens after she hangs up the phone. Just to let you know. Naomi and Jacob, they're at Orphagene's, and they have invited Regina, this is June's sister, back, and she actually comes after saying don't contact her again. Regina still has the same attitude towards June. She doesn't believe that anything has changed with her. And even after finding out a little bit more about June and this adoption situation or foster care, she said that she really doesn't want no parts of it. Regina gives them several items of June's, and I forgot who encouraged them, but I'll just say they encouraged her to, hey, why don't you give it to June? June shows up and she hands her this box. Of course, they exchange beforehand because there's still a lot of hurt between each other. I think even Regina's, no, that was like whatever week it was. You can't come stay with me, blah, 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 blah. That kind of changes though after this box is opened. There's a note in there. Regina read to a certain point and then she turned it away. June opens the box, and she reads the letter. And all of a sudden, her memory comes jogging back as to she having children, Ron and Cecile. Now, since these children are like 17, 15 years old, you still call people Ron? You still call people Cecile? Like, that's something you probably would have done it in the 70s, possibly the 80s, but those, to me, they're just a little bit old-time type of names. But maybe y'all like it. In the letter, Regina was under the impression that a neighbor called a CPS, Child Protective Services. In the letter, it states from June that she called CPS. She said that this wasn't a place for her children to live anymore, and she gave them up. Now, what I find very crazy is that it's a closed adoption, and I'm sure what was used against her is that she was a drug user or drug abuser, and I find that quite crazy. And to be stigmatized, they could have offered to get her help or whatever. It could have been temporary, but y'all just cut off all communication with her. That's quite crazy. Now you're gonna think I'm crazy when I say what I need to say a little bit later, because I'm just really trying to figure out, okay, that's fine that she gave them up on her own, but who cares? You still birthed these babies. And you put them in harm's way. But that's neither here or there right now. But yep, her memories all returned. So Samantha ended up tricking their dads to come together. She texts Martin through Smitty's phone saying, "Hey, come by and let's have a pizza night." Martin comes by with pizzas. And of course, they're a little bit discombobulated, like, why you did this, da 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 da. Of course, Sam was just trying to push her parents together. I forgot who said it, Martin or whoever. They said, well, they're here, so let him stay, as far as Martin. And they have a game night. Is there anything else? They ended up butting heads anyways and started a little bit of arguing. Tyrell was even getting disrespectful. Everybody's so on him, but it's just like, let this boy breathe a little bit. He's feeling a lot of things right now. So, anyways, they go through and playing cards, and who wins? Smitty and Samantha. While they're doing their little game, we get to another scene where Jacob informs Naomi that Samantha and Tyrell are Ron and Cecile. Jacob, I have some things to talk to you about. You haven't solved this Leslie case, but out of thin air, you know that this is Samantha and Tyrell. With a cold case. There's no DNA or nothing, but you know that this is her. This is her for this show. You can't lock a conviction or an arrest for Leslie, nor can you figure out what everybody's hiding. But you know for a shadow of a doubt that your cousins, or your cousins-in-laws, are this woman's. I have something to say about that too. Okay, we're on the next day. Wednesday. Smitty and Martin, they talk a little bit. Smitty says, as fun as the game night has been, it hasn't healed the big issues between them. Martin's like, I know that, but hopefully it's okay. Their disagreement is getting heated. But Martin doesn't, I think, acknowledge then. At some point, Martin acknowledges that he's in therapy. Smitty says, you seem a little bit more relaxed than what you have been. And he said, yeah, da-da-da-da. They get into a heated discussion about stuff with parenting. Then Naomi calls, saying that she needs to meet them ASAP. Jacob and Naomi come over to Smitty and Martin's residence, and they said that they located Samantha and Tyrell's birth mother. The men are shocked because, hey, it's been a cold case. How did this happen? And not ready to meet June. However, Samantha and Tyrell, they are down the steps and they actually hear part of the conversation. So Jacob and Naomi, they do leave, da-da-da-da-da. So the family begins to talk about it. Samantha's leaning more towards, I want to meet her. Tyrell is not. Samantha and Tyrell, they talk a little bit more, and now Tyrell is on team Jim, at least to meet her. Tomas and Kat, they have a salsa dancing lessons. And Kat is in a very cute red attire. So they're trying to learn, and her and Thomas aren't really getting it. The instructor takes over, and him and Kat really did a very great job. Thomas is looking displeased, but anyways, he has a do-over, and they seem to be doing better. Kat, while Thomas is talking to him, She's swooning over him, and she gets the bright idea, why don't you come back to my place and you can take a shower, and I can take a shower. They go back, they take a shower, and then next thing you know, they doing the horizontal poker. Shout out to Family Matters. Is this it right now? Yeah, they have sex, but guess what? In the afterglow, the light's not shining. Cat is not thrilled. Chelsea and Madison, they are at the country club doing their thing. They're arguing about having little argument, discussing their relationship, and that they seem to be struggling to get on the same page. Just as they're talking, guess who walks up? Allison. Allison, who doesn't really do anything with the country club. She said that she was there because her trainer gave her a pass, as she's now thinking that she's got the hookup forever to come to the gym. And Chelsea just said, wait, this isn't a privilege or whatever. You think that you're on my level? You got in, you didn't even know. It's unacceptable. Madison walks off so she can take a medical call, and then Chelsea lets her have it. She's got all these excuses about what Greg is doing and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Chelsea's not trying to hear that, da-da-da-da-da. She said, I offered you or gave you suggestions earlier and you didn't want to take them. I know one is therapy. Yeah, she was talking about how bad Craig is treating her, da-da-da-da-da. And Chelsea's not moved. She said, I already told you or gave you suggestions of what to do. Seek therapy. Turn to friends. But do things that doesn't involve you turning to her. She's done. Chelsea ends up threatening to get this girl a restraining order because she won't leave her alone. She was trying to tell Madison about this person. You know, you better watch yourself around her because she's going to hurt you. How? She wanted a deeper relationship with you and you backed up from it. How is this legal? How? What? You're not making any sense with your craziness all of a sudden that's going on. Eva and Leslie. Eva's going to call her mama out. Leslie hangs up from the people or wherever she was supposed to call about this inheritance. And she called when she, as I said before, she had all of these, they were asking her questions that she didn't want to answer as far as her social security number and date of birth. I get it. There's nothing, but Eva's not taking that. You're like, what if you finally were able to do something on your own instead of manipulating da-da-da-da-da-da-da? Basically, please don't make me try to ask my daddy for anything because I'm not trying to stress him out. That's all that really is. You, even though you say that you don't want to be the number one daughter, in many ways, I think that you're trying to be that. Leslie was like, look, I'm not going to believe that there's just this magical pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Oh, the fake ass rainbow. Eva is tired of all of the Leslie drama, and that offends her. It strikes a nerve in Leslie. Leslie drama, expound. Eva rips into her. And then Leslie says, well, you really love Nicole, don't you? And Eva said, yes. And I hate what I did to her, and I hate what has contributed to her family being broken right now. And of course, that doesn't go well with Leslie because she wants to be your number one, and that's it. August 14th. This is Thursday. So Eva finally fusses at Leslie enough to get her to call or answer the phone. Somebody's calling her, thinking that this is about the inheritance thing. We find out that she's got this bill that's over $10K. Leslie hangs up and Eva goes into her again. You have a bill that's over $10K, da-da-da-da-da. And what Leslie wants Eva to do is to go ask Teddy Ted. And she's like, are you out of your mind? I can't do this, da-da-da-da-da. It's time for you to become legit and stop all this manipulation and da-da-da-da-da. However, Eva leaves, and a woman named Peaches shows up at the door. And we find out that Peaches is Leslie's mother. I was in shock, but it looked like both of them, the mama knows, and she knows how to tap in to get Leslie together. I said, finally, somebody's able to get her together. Even though Nicole can do it, she strikes nerves. Nicole's a therapist. She knows how to get at you if she wanted to use that power. But all Nicole did was just read her down, and it was just too much for her to take. So Leslie and Peaches have words. Leslie says, "You've gotten older." Peaches said that you've gotten meaner. Basically, Peaches is already stating that, what's going on? Yeah, they don't really have a good relationship at this point because of something Leslie did. She went after Peaches' man. And she said, "You ought to be proud of me. I was able to let you know that he's a no good, you know what, blah, 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 blah. Thank you." It turns out Peaches has been the one that's been wanting to get a hold of Leslie. She is dying, and she thinks it's time for Leslie to know the truth of who her mother is. Can y'all guess if y'all haven't watched this week's episodes? Thomas and Kat. Thomas is sensing that something is not quite right with Kat, and Kat's trying to cover, but she can't really. And Thomas says that I'm going to leave, and she's like, "Why? Are you mad?" He says, "No, I'm just." He makes it clear he's not mad. In fact, he intends to sweep the beauty off of her feet. Well, we don't like you anyways, so Thomas, we don't care what you do. We don't want you with her. Get away from her. So Kat ends up calling Chelsea and just saying, "Look, this sex the second time was even worse than the first time." It's crazy that Thomas is asking questions after the sex. Why aren't you reading her body to see what works, what isn't working, da 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 da? You just go in there and just start drilling away, don't you? Crazy. Chelsea asked, "Are you gay?" And she said no. And then Chelsea said, "Good. Oh, less competition." Kat assures her she's not gay and she's not asexual. Kat thinks that maybe waiting so long has messed her up. And Chelsea was like, "No, it's not that, da 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 da. But you got to get a handle on this." Thomas ends up talking with Eva. Eva finds a way to relate to him, and he's still giving out some information between him and Kat, but it's somewhat disguised and not too personal as he was doing before. Just let these people. I don't even want to see there a fight between Eva and this person. But now that Kat has given her virginity over to him, that's gonna mean something else. She already don't like Eva, and now the man that I gave my virginity to is now with the one I hate the most. Crazy. Ted. We find out that Ted has been served divorce papers. Nicole is moving forward, and he sees the Duprees and says what's on his mind about the whole situation. Anita was like, "Look, you have invested less time into saving your marriage than you did with building a relationship with the child who tried to destroy it." Anita didn't tell no lies. And Anita told you need to work for if you wanted this marriage to save it. Work for it. You haven't been doing that at all. And that's a gripe I have with the writers, because it's like, I thought I was going to be invested in this couple. The way you promoted this couple, oh, they're so loving, you're examples to us, da 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 da, A little glimmer of hope when Nicole put the rose, but that's vastly changed. And I don't root for Nicole and Ted anymore because they're just kind of there. We know that they're fighting or whatever, but there's no type of angst. There's nothing that's saying that these two want to be together at all. Even in their anger, it's not even saying that, So Ted sees Nicole is out on a date. And guess what? Who? Carlton. Carlton steps away, and Ted has words with Nicole, and she basically said, time's up. I'm moving on. Ted is still trying to plead his case with her. Anita and Vernon, they get up and rescue their daughter and basically dismiss Ted like he's some bull. I said, that's a shame. That's a shame. And that's the reason why Bill and Ted get along, because they've been on the same playing field, But then after Ted leaves, Anita reaffirms Nicole, just saying that I've raised two strong, independent women. You'll be fine, da 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 da. It's good that you're moving on. All right. June. She's with Naomi. Naomi's helping her get dressed and all that good stuff. And she's worried about this meetup is going to be a disaster. She says that my dreams don't come true. And she would rather disappoint Samantha and Tyrell before meeting them than when in their presence and disappoints them. It makes sense in my opinion, but Naomi says, don't even think about that. Da, 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 da. Of course, June is like, I think that they would be better without me in their lives. Then Naomi shows what she looks like after Naomi does a little bit to her. And she says, now that's somebody's mother. This is, give me a second. At Smitty, at the Richardson's home. Smitty and Martin, they fear that they might lose their children. Smitty is surprised to hear Martin in therapy and also pleased. I want to be a better man than the one that you first married. Da, 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 da. So they have a temporary truce so they can get through this whole June situation. She arrives, and it's a little bit awkward when they sit down to meet. It goes from awkward to tense when Tyrell speaks up about how he feels. You know, Samantha is a lot more reasonable, which I'm shocked. I thought it was going to be in reverse. But I could see where Tyrell would be more angry. He's the more older child and then had to take on this adult position before he ever got removed from their mother's home. I really get that, you know, and have your feelings, Tyrell. Feel how you want to feel. June asked the question, I think. Oh, she begins to express like what happened and she gave them up so that they can actually have a life that they do have now. June asked, I think she sees a picture, she said, if there might be room in this photo for her. I said, that's pretty bold. The dads say that they will have to have a private discussion concerning this. Tyrell wants her gone, but Samantha believes that their mom needs to be a part of their lives. Martin then tries to tell Smitty that it's best for him to move back into the house. Before Smitty could respond, in walks the twins again. And they ended up saying that they want to see their mother again. To me. This storyline with June and stuff is not realistic. It's cookie cutter. It's very giving Hallmark, not even Lifetime. Sorry. The adoption was closed. First, Jacob getting this information just a little bit is quite weird to me. To tell you a little bit about my story is that I'm adopted. My case was open, yet none of my family could find us. And of course, everybody has their own story. I get it. But it's just like in an instance, poof, June remembers everything. Now she's got some sense. Now she don't hate nobody in the world, da 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 da. I think that the story needs to be fleshed out a lot more, and I don't think that this was the time to reveal anything regarding Samantha and Tyrell. I mean, there wasn't any really angst. We just got this mystery. Oh, she got these children. Well, we found out like 2 weeks ago. We do know about that there were pictures of some children, and people were speculating about it, but there wasn't anything official as to if they were going this route or not. Yeah, so for me, I'm not a fan. I could be a fan if it was told a lot more properly. Friday, final day. At the hospital, someone's rushed in, and it's Derek yet again. Ashley's freaking out. He had a biking accident where he flipped over on his bike. He has to have surgery, and of course, Ashley really can't be there as much as she's trying to advise Dr. Madison that she wants to be there. So we find out that Derek, the surgery was successful, but we find out that he's paralyzed. We don't know if the mobility will return back to his body or not. And they talk about how Derek will do things not on spur of moment, but just this risk taker. I mean, his job calls for it, but because Ashley feels like he did this to prove that he was worthy of Ashley, I hope not. That's crazy. Yeah, so Madison doesn't know right now if Derek will be able to walk again. Yikes. Leslie and Peaches ends up telling Leslie the truth about her mother. Her mother was a young, talented singer whose life was cut short. She goes on to just say that, you know, the mom didn't want any children and ended up asking Peaches if she wanted this child or whatever. Peaches was in the delivery room and all that good stuff, and the moment Leslie was in her hands, she knew that that was her child. And it was under the circumstances that, under no circumstances could Barbara try, or Peaches try to contact Barbara. She wanted it done. She didn't want no paperwork. This was just a closed adoption, and Barbara stood on her word, and she didn't come looking for you or nothing like that. That brings Leslie to tears and all that good stuff. And to find out that this is Barbara from the Articulates. I think I already said that. Peaches ends up saying that she committed, you know what, offing herself. And that Leslie stands to inherit a small fortune. And of course that lights up Leslie. The Articulates. Sharon and Tracy, they're about to go on the road for a tour, and they asked Anita to come along. And they said no. They are glad that they finally got to this place Tracy said it's just too bad that we let decades go by and not just pick up the phone and try to make things work out. Again, they really want her to come, but she's not at all wanting that to happen. They leave, and then Vernon comes back, and Anita tells Vernon that she wished that Barbara had a family representation at that reunion concert. Oh, they were there. There were two of them. Nicole decides to have a divorce party that involved Vanessa and Danny. And they weren't going to talk about their men. Nicole finally cuts loose and she dances it up. I said, go ahead, Nicole. On the other side of town, Ted and Andre talk about their woes, about the divorce papers, and then Andre saying that he chose Ashley. And Ted said, you chose Ashley over Danny? Andre encourages Ted to fight for his marriage. And then all of a sudden, he got this notion of, you know what? I think I will shoot my shot again. Whatever, Ted. For me, I don't care if it happens. And the reason I don't care that much is because we've been waiting for something to happen, and there wasn't even something to help us look forward for, or to even root for you. We just stayed there on the sidelines, being a punk. So whatever happens, happens. Unless y'all gonna show something else, I'm just not satisfied with it. I think other story plots and all that, I don't get them. I think that we deserved a lot more as a viewing audience. As far as all the seeds that you planted have just went dead, and I don't get it. But that's all I do have. Like the show, or like this video, and also subscribe. And leave your comments below. And until the next one, peace.